Hey everybody, welcome to the Murat milestone waiting room. We're halfway through April and unfortunately it's still not out. In case you forgot, which most of you probably didn't, especially if you're active on the YouTube Discord. This was supposed to be released in March, right? We got the 5th and 7th Panzerdivision in March 17th, more or less right in the middle of March, and yeah, Murat is still waiting basically 4 weeks later to come out. Now, they briefly go into this here, in this update regarding what's going on and the two new maps, and essentially it's towed units, AT guns, specs. Are there specs in there yet? No specs yet. There's supposed to be like a German anti-air gun coming as well. I guess it's not a spec, it's an AAG then, just without ESP, since it's not self-propelled. It's just howitzers and anti-tank guns here and a mortar. And then of course there's infantry or like infantry ATGM teams and an IHawk launcher. IHawk is going to be very important, I think, for the American divisions because currently they're anti-air really not so great versus planes. Although with the upcoming patch, from what little balance changes that we already know about, of course, assuming and hoping there will be a good chunk more, the Chaparral has been buffed again. Oh my god, the edit button, there it is. 55 points and 50% base accuracy. I don't know why they did both buffs. It was, at least from our end of the strike team, only really it got nerfed, quite a hefty price nerf, and range scaling is gone for missiles. So why not just give it a 5% accuracy buff? And Hugeman then did both. But I mean, whatever. In general, I know I'm going off the rails here. In general, I'm not really happy with plane and AA balance or how they work. In my eyes, most planes are roughly around the 200 point mark, and with the exception of ASFs maybe, in my eyes they should be more around the 300 point mark, with AA also getting a chunky price nerf. Because right now it's just, you lose planes so quickly, so you just spam planes, and they're so affordable, so you can do that. But it's a whole different discussion. Sorry for derailing here, but that's just what I do. For better or for worse. Probably for worse. Yeah, so it turns out that they assumed, infantry ATGMs and infantry weaponry would take them a long time, but that wasn't the case. It was towed weapons, which is surprising because those were already in Steel Division Normandy 44 and Steel Division 2. So I don't know if something changed with the engine that they had to rework it, or they wanna, I don't know, just rework it because they want to or think it's needed. Whatever's happening, I don't know, or they just can't reuse the code or mechanics from Steel Division 4, whatever. I don't know. I wouldn't know. It's what they're saying. So yeah, it is not really. I'm not trying to imply that they're lying because they have no reason to. Obviously, they want to get this out as fast as possible themselves. If you remember the first roadmap, and yeah, we should already have the airborne divisions according to this, but it is what it is. There's no point in trying to beat a dead horse here. That's gotta move on. But of course, it is a bit frustrating that a month in there's basically barely any new content, while in my eyes, what new content we get is not really that much. The two new maps, they've been briefly showcased. I've shown them both once in recent matches. There's first Black Forest, which they, and I'm quoting here, have designed for 2 versus 2 battles. In particular, the map has 4 contrasting corridors of attack lanes. Now, I'm not sure what they mean. I mean, they explain it, but I'm not really 100% certain what exactly they're talking about. Obviously, for one, there's this little thing here for sneaking around, which whatever. And then there's this path here. I don't know if they consider this like 2 corridors, because there's like no road in here or something. There's a bit of uncovered terrain, so it would be cool if you had just a straight up, not necessarily road, so you can't really fast move here, but like this width type of gap in here. For a second I thought this was a road, but it really isn't. I mean, it's probably supposed to, simulate like a forest road or something. Anyway, yeah. And of course, they said it's 2v2. I mean, they also said the normal death row is 2v2. Two legs is 2v2. At the end of the day, if you want to play 2v2 and you enjoy playing 2v2 or prefer playing 2v2 on such maps, fair. I think it's just a 1 versus 1 map. It definitely needs improvement. I think these zones should be like cut off. Like this should be cut off. And this, like very roughly speaking, should be cut off. Transform to 3-point zones and then a 2-point zone like in here. Maybe in the shape of like a diamond. So it's like, like that instead of like this. But you get the point, right? Just like 2 lakes. There's just no variation in terms of how you play on this map because it's just one zone you can attack. But oh well. But other than that, honestly, I think with the spawns being here and having a relatively long reinforcement route, I think it's actually not too bad. It's just that there's so much dead space. You can't use this at all. You can't use this at all, but it's just a tiny corner. I mean, you can use like this area here, but this is dead space for the most part. And there's no huge point in really sneaking something around. Because you don't have a CV, like for Bravo, sure, but not for a spawn really. I guess you could actually like try to sneak some infantry in here. But there's no CVs here. Artillery you don't really need in your spawn anymore either because there's no FOBs. Unless FOBs come back, which honestly I hope. I just need to be more tanky. And on this side, it's actually hard. Can do some echo stuff, but getting into Foxtrot, I suppose I could move around here. But yeah, in general, I don't really think it's that bad. It's just that these zones need to be reworked. But it's also just, there's this one map. You can't really make another map out of this in my eyes. And then of course we have Iron Waters, which is a huge map that they have said is 4v4 to 10v10. It's presumably also coming to 10v10 servers. We have it 20 players. Also have showcased. We could probably also make like some 2v2 maps out of this, 1v1 maps, stuff like that. I think the way it is now, it should play really well for 3 versus 3 too. But here too, I think zones could be adjusted a bit, right? It's pretty boring. Make like a center zone here and there, for example. Maybe rework these to make like a center zone there. Just like essentially, right, the way it is now, cut the map across the middle point and have 8 zones on left and right, like in a symmetrical way. I suppose it would still be symmetrical, but have like some center zones as well. But yeah, good mix of like towns, forests, open field. It's not too bad. Maybe a bit too many towns for my taste, but it's not too bad. Reminds me of Mudfight. Not Mudfight. The map that Mudfight is based on. I don't even know the name anymore. It's a 4v4. Is it Floods? I think it's called Floods in Wargame. Anyway, these are the 2 maps that I've briefly showcased. If you've seen my videos, obviously this is not really anything new. And they briefly go into what we're gonna see. Anti-tank guns, bunch of howitzers. Actually, only 1 anti-tank gun, huh? For the Soviets. I mean, I presume that the NATO, or the Americans at least, phased them out by then. I don't know. Howitzers, though. They also, I think this is an SPG-9 team, like a rigorous rifle team. I think. Oh no, yeah, that is SPG-9 fire team. Yeah, I'm blind. There are 2 reckless rifle teams as well for either side. And yeah, someone, explain it to me or correct me. But I was also under the assumption that like Milans and maybe even Fagots and Concourse are, compared to TOWs, relatively light or man portable. So I was wondering or expecting that we would also see Milan on like not necessarily dedicated ATGM teams, but something like Gorno Strikey along the lines. But honestly, that might also just be straight up too powerful because compared to Wargame, the Milans seem a lot more capable. And we're gonna see a T-62's MiG-29 is coming back in terms of seat. We briefly had it, but then it got removed. Maybe the model wasn't right or whatever. Gas 66 truck, ooh. BTR 60 APC, sure. And yeah. No mention of the anti-air gun. at least the Germans are supposed to get one. Maybe we're gonna see with the Fallschirmjäger division. But I think Mech division might also get it. Unsure. Because they're not gonna get a Roland. Unless they're gonna change that. Because it's also a bit debatable whether they should or should not get a Roland. But just having Gepards and Fliegerfaust or Red Eyes seems not so great. But yeah. I'm also gonna, once Murat comes out, I'm gonna make like a 3-ish months into early access type of video. Bit of a retrospective, you know, how's the state of things, how much it's changed. That's, you know, that kind of video. People have asked me every now and then, do you think it's worth it? Yada yada yada. And that's not necessarily gonna be that type of video, because at the end of the day, I can't and don't want to make the decision for anyone else. That's kind of like to be informative, you know, how much has he done, how much effort does it look like they have put in. And I say look like because I'm not saying they're not putting in effort, but at the end of the day, it's, you don't always like notice or see what effort they put in, because sometimes, you know, you don't, or hopefully we don't know if something goes horribly wrong and it gets fixed before anybody knows about it. But yeah, obviously very frustrating for anyone really that Murat is still not out. Hopefully we're gonna see this week maybe a strike team version, because people are turning sour, and I can understand that. But yeah, nothing we can do about it. Still, hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think, and I'll hopefully see you next time. Bye bye.